Today I have a special Pokemon and character planned for you guys. A while ago I was approached by one of my viewers who goes by the name of Aledeli, which I am confidently pronouncing incorrectly. They came to me asking if they could help me with designing a character, and I decided it would be quite a fun experience working together with someone on the art of one of these videos. So I took up their offer. Aledeli proved to be a great artist, and they came up with an amazing design for both a brand new character as well as her ace Pokemon. So in today's video, I'll be designing the Rock-type boss Pokemon for my Dutch-inspired Hummigrate region. Don't forget that. As well as unveiling the amazing designs by Aledeli. Let's hop into it, shall we? Before I show you the character Aledeli designed, let's first have a look at her ace. For this design, I gave Aledeli a lot of freedom. All I told them was to make it a rock type. This is Damselisk, an amazing design with quite a pleasant color scheme as well. I also think it has an amazing concept. But in order for the art to fit in with the rest of the region, I did have to redraw it in my own style, of course. Damselisk takes inspiration from dragons, princesses and castles in Dutch culture and history. I really like how it takes the image of a dragon on top of a castle and mixed it seamlessly with the dress of a princess. It's a very clever idea that I fell in love with immediately. With my redraw, I decided to focus on the castle the most, to make sure it had a solidly defined shape and rendering, and that you could tell that the real body of the dragon is nestled inside of this fortress. Detailing the castle was hard, because I struggle with drawing and rendering rocks in the Pokemon art style. I wanted the castle to look clearly cobbled together, to show that it is actually its nest that it built with rocks that it found. The body of the dragon itself is obviously mostly obscured, but I still drew the basic shape of it. When designing a Pokemon that is hidden by something, it's very important to have an idea of what it would look like underneath the extra layers. This way you can flesh out the shapes and the design better, and draw more detailed arts. Also, this dragon be thick. Please keep the good artist away from it. Because Aledeli already came up with this amazing design, I only had to tweak the details, and I could focus more on the rendering. This would definitely be the trickiest part, because there are many individual parts and different materials in this design, more than the average Pokemon I draw would have. I really like this collaboration because Aledeli came up with an amazing design and fun ideas that I would have never come up with myself, but still really enjoy and think fit my region. They did a great job with it, and I'm proud to welcome Damselisk into the Hummigrate region.
Damselisk, the castle Pokemon, a rock dragon type. It gathers and mends together rocks and boulders to build its nest. Thanks to their benevolent nature, many smaller Pokemon seek shelter in its walls. Once it finds a spot to settle, it won't ever leave. Nothing less than a siege can force it to leave. A Pokemon in its territory are protected as a reward for their loyalty. It has the abilities Sturdy, Battle Armor, and the hidden ability Weak Armor.
I came up with the lore of this Pokemon myself. I asked Aledeli if they wanted to write something for the decks, but they gave me free rein. And I'm glad they did, because this Pokemon serves as some great inspiration for world building and lore. I also came up with the name Damselisk myself. It's a mix between damsel and basilisk, referencing the whole damsel in distress trope, where a princess has been held captive by a terrible dragon, which a knight must slay. Only though, the terrible dragon is the damsel now, so... awkward! You'll also notice that Damselisk is Gigantosaurus, whatever you say. Gigantosaurus, Gigantomorphous, Scythe Metamorphosis, Gigantonortstis, Gymornus. Together we came up with this beautiful shiny for Damselisk. A nice pink and blue color scheme that will actually come up again later. But that's for some other time. Now for the real meat and potatoes of this video. Another brand new character for the Hummigrate region. Note that I'm not saying gym leader specifically. If you remembered my deep dive into the Hummigrate region, you'll remember that there was no rock-type gym leader or evil team leader. The rock-type boss would be one of the 5 Pokebosses. That's still a placeholder name, I'll come up with something eventually. These boss Pokemon, like the bug-type boss Hummigrate, would all be accompanied by some kind of guardian or guide. I still haven't fleshed out the lore of this yet, but these guardians would serve both as protectors of these boss Pokemon, as well as the Elite Four of my region. So, Aledeli was tasked to create the Rock-type Elite Four of this region. And did they deliver? Well, of course they did! This is Dymond, the Rock-type Elite Four member. And would you take a look at this amazing design? They really cooked. It's perfect, I love it so much. For the Elite Four character, I gave them a few rules as well as a few extra guides. The major characters of my region have a theme of multiculturalism, so I asked them if they could take some inspiration from another Pokemon region for their design, and they ended up coming up with the Galarian native Dymond. This is actually quite a fun coincidence too, because in 1688 the Dutch basically invaded and took over England, with consent of English nobles of course, in order to protect Protestantism in the region. Then William III of Orange would rule England for a while, so I imagine that Dymond would be a long-lost relative of this Hummigrate rule over Galar. Another extra guideline was the fact that I would have liked the character to be a woman. I have quite a few major characters planned out already, and so far it's looking like quite the Earthworm party, if you catch my drift. I also would have liked it if she resembled the boss or her ace Pokemon in some sense. Aledeli took this to heart, and she looks practically related to her Damselisk, which I love. Then lastly, all my gym leaders have some kind of prominent item that they've incorporated in their designs. I didn't follow this rule for the evil team leaders, but it's great that she gets a scepter with a diamond nonetheless. I think her design is genius. Her dress resembles a dizzying castle tower reaching to the sky, and her princess hat looks like the roof of such a castle, being topped with a pink flag as well. I also imagine her being really tall, like Gymestamondorphus, you know? So that she literally towers over you. Once again, this is a great color scheme that I love a lot. Pink and yellow is one of my favorite color combinations, especially when they're both pastel. The gems on her dress are also a lucky coincidence that will once again be brought up later in this video. I kept her design and pose practically identical to the original, as it was just that good and there wasn't really anything I felt I could improve on in any way. It's just an amazing character, and I'm very glad I accepted Aledeli's offer to do this collaboration, because it turned out great. This is Dymond. Her name literally comes from diamond, a gem. It's really simple. I couldn't come up with anything better, sorry. I like this character a lot. She's certainly endearing, and pretty hot, I say without any shame or embarrassment in my voice. Aledeli came up with a really fun little background for her. She's a Galarian historian who is really passionate about the Middle Ages, or whatever Pokemon's equivalent would be. She enjoys doing medieval fairs and LARPing. I actually went to a medieval fair a couple times as a kid, and those were just the best. So cool. She's probably a massive nerd in the most endearing way possible, being all passionate about obscure medieval history and poetry and stuff. It's a really fun character, and I also imagine she plays D&D in her spare time. For this video, I made a height chart for all the major characters in Pokemon West and East, just so you can see how tall she really would be. On her own, she'd be 2 meters and 10 centimeters tall. You know, 6'9" for you Americans. With her head though, she'd tower at a staggering 2 meters and 60 centimeters, or 8'5". Jesus Christ! What does she lure past the freaking tower? Oh, and also she doesn't like wearing heels, so... What? Gotta respect yourself, a giant woman. A massive thanks to Aledeli for helping me with this video. I'm really happy with the end results of this collaboration. I have their socials linked in the description, as well as on the screen right now for the people who are watching this with their eyes closed. They're a great artist, and I heard from a little birdie that they, as well as a few other people, are working together on a Brazilian-inspired Pokemon region. So definitely check it out. Currently, they've only revealed starter Pokemon of the region, but rest assured, I'm picking Lazroot as my new best friend forever. Oh, and while I'm busy plugging already, remember to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. I'd appreciate it a lot. Thank you! Alright, I've unveiled all the designs I worked on together with Aledeli. Why is there a second half to this video again? Well, I told you all already that this video is about the Rock-type boss Pokemon of my region. Did you forget about that? I told you not to forget about that. The next 2 Pokemon are redesigns of some really old Pokemon of mine long before this channel existed. Once again carryovers from the Elfie region. The first stage of this line here is called Monomondo, and it will be taking inspiration from Dymond. I've talked before about how the city of Antwerp in Belgium is the diamond capital of the world, and this of course had to serve as inspiration for a diamond Pokemon. Heck, I even have an entire diamond and coal mine for this Pokemon setup. I couldn't not repurpose such a perfect idea. Monomondo also takes inspiration from wedding rings and diamagnetism. Wedding rings are often made up partly of diamonds, and so the connection between these two was very clear-cut. But what the hell is a diamagnetism? Well, diamagnetism is basically anti-magnetism. Diamagnetism repels other magnetic materials, meaning that they can't stick to magnets. It's a bit difficult to understand, but here's an analogy that most of my internet-using, Pokemon-loving, artistically inclined viewers will understand. Diamagnetism is like being an introvert. People devised a whole scale to measure how diamagnetic a material is, with everything less than or equal to 1 being classified as diamagnetic. One of the most diamagnetic materials, God I say that a lot, is carbon, such as diamonds. So diamonds can't stick to magnets. Or other materials, like more diamonds. Poor little Monomondo is ironically lonely and unable to connect with others of its kind. This will come into play in its evolution later, but basically I thought it'd be a fun idea to use the wedding ring to fuse together multiple Pokemon, not through the power of magnetism, but through the power of love. Monomondo, do you agree to take this rock as your lawful husband, to have and hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part? Monomondo, from mono, meaning single, and diamond.
Monomondo, the diamond Pokemon, a rock and psychic type. Monomondo are very lonely Pokemon. Because of their psychic abilities, they accidentally repel others of their kind. Only once it meets the right partner will it be able to connect again. The crystals made by Monomondo are harder than steel. These diamonds are a very valuable resource that made the Hummigrate region a wealthy trading empire many years ago. It has the abilities Clear Body, Diamagnetism, and the hidden ability Sturdy.
The ability Diamagnetism disables the use of moves that hit adjacent Pokemon used by your opponent. Monomondo has got a pretty basic but still fun design in my opinion, and I'm really happy with the rendering of the diamonds. It looks great. I decided to do my own thing with it, and it worked out perfectly. Now I'm gonna do a classic Gary move, and reveal that I once again gave it a different form. Yeah, okay, I know that I have 8 Pokemon, technically 10 Pokemon already that have different forms. But I like them, okay? They're fun to make. And it really works for the concept I'm going with here. My region is all about diversity and colors and stuff, so having a lot of Pokemon with different forms really helps with this theme, alright? Okay, I promise to dial it down a little after the next Pokemon. Monomondo is a generalist Pokemon technically, but it can come in 2 different forms, pink and blue, corresponding with the stereotypical colors for male and female. This will be very important for this evolution. Originally, Diabondo looked like this, just 2 Monomondos stuck together. Now, I think evolutions like this can actually be pretty clever if they fit the theme, like with Klinklang and Magneton, and to a certain extent even Dugtrio. But I am aware that many people don't like it when this happened, so I went a different approach for the redesign. I actually fused a bunch of diamonds together in order to form multiple heart-shaped crystals. A very subtle way to convey the themes of this Pokemon. Now that I think about it, I could have put this Pokemon in the Valentine's video. Oh well, I don't want to be reminded of that disaster date. I tried to play around with the shapes of its body, like how most just the rock Pokemon do it. And I enjoyed this plump, stocky looking shape with all the floating crystals. The Pokemon will be 2 crystals fused together. This is important because the way you evolve this Pokemon is by sending out 2 different Monomondo out in a double battle. And if they both have a high friendship, they'll evolve into a single Diabondo. Of course, this can only be done if they're both from the same party, so you can fuse with your allies' Monomondo. And if one of the 2 is a shiny Monomondo, the Diabondo will always be shiny, just to avoid any incidences. Depending on the color of Monomondo you had, you can get one of 3 different forms. The blue Monomondo, the pink Monomondo, and the mixed Monomondo. Yup, we finally got the gay Pokemon. I did it. I saved the world. Yeah, this is why they don't have genders in their first forms. I think if they did, the idea of a gay and lesbian Pokemon would be a bit too on the nose for Game Freak to dare do that. Blame the lucrative Chinese market for that. So, do you remember that these Pokemon were based on wedding rings? Well, the Netherlands was the first country in the world to legalize same-sex marriage in 2001. And only 2 years later, its little brother Belgium became the second nation in the world to legalize it. This was a massive step forward for the LGBT community, and to celebrate this, here are some gay rocks. Monomondo, do you agree to take this rock as your lawful also husband? To have and hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part? Then you may kiss each other. Somehow. Diabondo, from Diamond and Bond. Also, D or Dia can mean 2 in chemical compounds.
Diabondo, the diamond Pokemon, a rock and psychic type. When 2 Monomondo love each other very much, they'll fuse together and evolve into a Diabondo. They work together in perfect harmony to battle opponents. Legends speak of a mysterious Diabondo who was the result of 3 Monomondo fusing together. No one has found this highly valued Pokemon, however. It has the abilities Clear Body, Diamagnetism, and the hidden ability Sturdy.
My personal favorite form is the mixed form, even if it's not the most interesting one in its origin. I'm just such a sucker for this blue and pink color scheme. Told you I'd come back to this. To finish off this Pokemon, let's have a look at your battle with Diabondo, This will actually be a double battle against the blue and the pink Diabondo. A double date, if you would. These Pokemon would be specialized in double battles. You would be tasked with tracking down a super dangerous Pokemon in the carbon mines, only to find two extremely aggressive and overgrown Diabondo. They'd fight together. Both of them would be level 23, with the pink one having the ability Diamagnetism and the blue one having the ability Clear Body. The pink Diabondo would be more support focused, knowing the move Helping Hand to boost the power of its allies' moves. Heart Swap in order to swap stat changes with you and throw off your setup, and Heal Pulse to heal the blue Diabondo in a pinch. It also gets the move Ancient Power, so it can still attack you if you take down the blue Diabondo first. Speaking of which, this one is all attack focused, learning the Psychic type move Extrasensory and the Rock type move Ancient Power for solid stab damage. And for some strong coverage, it gets the Ice type Aurora Beam and the Fighting type move Body Press. This move's power depends not on your attack stat, which is very low with Diabondo, but its defense stat, which is quite the opposite. With these boss battles, I'm also bringing back an old mechanic from Sun and Moon, SOS calls. This will be unique to boss Pokemon. They can call in wild Pokemon to aid them, up to 2 times in one battle. And worse yet, because there's 2 boss Pokemon, this can easily escalate into an unwanted 4v2. The blue Diabondo can call for help from Solrock at level 18 and Carkol at level 18, in order to cover against grass-type Pokemon. The pink one can call for help from a Lunatone, as well as a Sudowoodo, both at level 18 as well. The Sudowoodo has about 50% chance to know the move Wood Hammer. In the hard mode for this battle, both of Diabondo trade Ancient Power for Power Gem, a far stronger special rock-type move. The blue Diabondo also knows Psychic instead of Extrasensory. Also, the Sudowoodo is now guaranteed to know Wood Hammer. So water types, beware! Okay, one more thing before I finish this video. I haven't yet discussed the previous boss Pokemon, because I didn't have any set-in-stone plans when I designed Hummigrate. When you battle it at level 12, it will know the moves Silver Wind and Gust, 2 moves that it gets stab on, as well as Aromatherapy to heal dangerous status effects it may have, and Charm to debuff your Pokemon's special attack. It would have the ability Tinted Lens to double damage from not very effective moves, in order to counter Fumu, the Fire-type starter. It would also be able to call for help from Gooby at level 8 and the Spupa at level 9. In the hard mode version of this fight, it knows the move Leech Life instead of Silver Wind, a more powerful move that also increases its longevity. Instead of Charm, it would now know Quiver Dance, setting itself up instead of debuffing your Pokemon, which would be more useful in a battle such as this. It gets the new ability Magic Scales, which is basically a reskin of Ice Scales from Frostmoth. It would be quite a formidable opponent, considering your Pokemon would only be at like level 10 at most. All boss Pokemon would also get a boost in all of their stats by 1 stage, as well as an additional boost in 1 extra stat. For the Hummigrate, this boosted stat is its special defense, to stay alive for longer against Fire-type Fumu. For the blue Diabondo, it would have boosted special attack stat, and the pink Diabondo would have a boosted physical defense stat. Wow, this was a surprisingly jam-packed video, seeing as I only had 3 Pokemon and 1 character to show off. Once again, a massive thank you to Aledeli for contributing to this video, as well as my region in general. I'm very happy I can shine a spotlight on smaller creators, using my own little platform here on YouTube. And it's very motivating to see many people get inspired by me. Have another wonderful day, Aledeli, and to the rest of you too. I've been Gary the Muffin. Gotta catch me later.